it's time to go over some of the finer details.
National Treasure Book of Secrets was released on December 21st, 2007, had a budget of $130 million, but made $459.2 million, which is a full, I think like $112 million more than National Treasure made. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, if I remember right, the budget for National Treasure wasn't like crazy much lower than this. I think it was like 105 or 100. I don't remember for sure, but it wasn't like they just dumped tons of money into the sequel compared to the first one. But you know, that's still $130 million. Like if this thing would have bombed, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Disney, so it would.
Yeah, it's Disney.
Could have put a slump into Nicolas Cage's career for 10 years. It didn't happen for another couple of years.
No, that's 2012.
Yeah.
Stolen and Spirit of Vengeance back to back. That's what put a slump into his career. As we discussed in the first movie, I'm not going to go over in quite as much detail this movie because almost all the same people came back for this one. But directed by John Turteltaub, who we discussed last time was the director of Three Ninjas, Cool Runnings, Phenomenon, that John Travolta Lawnmower Man telekinesis brain tumor movie. I don't think that's how brain tumors work. Like, you don't get a brain tumor and suddenly be able to move shit with your mind, but whatever.
He was touched by the divine.
National Treasure 1 and 2, of course. And also did Sorcerer's Apprentice, so we will be talking about Turteltaub again. Also Last Vegas, which I forget who it was, like Morgan Freeman, a bunch of old men going and partying in Vegas. And The Meg, newer movie with Statham and Rainn Wilson.
That's all right.
Yeah, I heard it was okay. I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just expect stupid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the premise. Okay. Yeah. Obviously. Written by the Wibberleys, who I butchered last time. We did National Treasure. Cormac and Marianne Wibberley, writing team, husband-wife writing team. They have written National Treasure 1 and 2, obviously. And they also came back for Edge of Tomorrow, the ill-received Disney Plus series. People didn't really seem to like
Edge of History.
Huh?
Not Edge of Tomorrow. That's a different movie.
Oh.
Edge of History.
That's like Tom Cruise thing,
That's
right?
Cruise.
Edge of History.
Yeah.
Okay. Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, that movie had a good script.
Yeah, that did. I still haven't watched the Disney Plus series, and I will not go out of my way to watch it unless we do National Treasure 3, because I feel like there's going to be a tie-in of some sort. So I will watch it. We're not doing it on the show because Cage never shows up. And that was one of the big complaints. Is like, why'd you do this if it's like doing an Indiana Jones series and Indiana Jones doesn't show up, Right. It's kind of weird.
They're like, well, we got Riley Poole.
Right? Great. You got the worst character out of the whole fucking
You really
franchise.
wanted to see an 80-year-old FBI agent, right?
I mean, the fact that Harvey Keitel showed up was kind of, like, that's crazy that he showed up. But, he's older. Probably just, it's like, oh, easy paycheck, sure.
Yeah.
They also wrote Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, which is the sequel. That was the one without Crispin Glover, I forget.
That was almost Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf is in that? I never saw the second one.
I'm pretty sure he's in it. I think he's on a dirt bike doing some tricks. I can't remember. That movie's awful. Don't watch it.
They also did The Shaggy Dog for Disney and G-Force. So we'll be talking about the Wibberleys again. Shot by Amir Mukri, which we previously talked about on Lord of War. He also shot Coyote Ugly, Fast and Furious. Not sure what. I think that's like
that's the
Fast
fourth
and
one.
Furious 4.
Yeah, that's when the whole team came back. I swear we had this exact same conversation.
Okay. All right. Also shot Transformers 18 and 19, I think. I don't know which. Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction. I don't know.
Is that the new one?
Third one and the fourth one or fifth one?
The 18th and 19th, dude. I wrote it right here. But quick fact, Director of photography Amir Mokri was replaced by John Schwartzman several weeks into shooting. This was reportedly due to creative differences between Mokri and producer and director John Turteltaub. So we have two different DPs on this film, which I kind of wonder how much of each bit was shot by each one. It doesn't feel that different, though. I feel like the cinematography is pretty similar throughout. I would say the cinematography is not quite as good as the first movie. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Mokri is kind of a go-to for Andrew Niccol. He's used him a few times.
Oh, really?
Maybe he'll do the Lord of War sequel. By the way, quick fact: there's a Lord of War sequel coming. Apparently, it's at least like greenlit, but we'll see if it ever gets made. But
I don't know, man. They're talking pretty tough about it. I think
they are.
Thankfully.
Hopefully, yeah. I've always loved that movie, and I would love to go back into that world, but at the same time, it's like, do we really need a Lord of War sequel?
Yeah, we do. Hey, we need to keep doing this podcast till we make money.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. John Schwartzman, of course, is Talia Shire's stepson, and the half-brother to Jason Schwartzman, the Wes Anderson guy, who also has a band. I don't know if you've listened to that band. I actually really love that his band. If you ever get a chance, it's kind of weird to hear Jason Schwartzman singing. You're like, okay. And of course, he is Nicolas Cage's cousin by marriage. So he's not technically like related to him by blood, but yeah. He also shot, as we talked previously on, I think, Wild at Heart. He shot Armageddon. He did Seabiscuit, which he got an Oscar nomination for. The Founder, that McDonald's movie, Jurassic World 1 and 3, the two best ones out of that awesome trilogy. The Amazing Spider-Man, The Rock, as we also talked about on The Rock, and of course Industrial Symphony, #1, The Dream of the Brokenhearted. Got to say the whole thing. Edited by William Goldenberg, who has edited National Treasure, obviously, the first movie. Did Heat, one of my all-time favorite Michael Mann films. Ali, Seabiscuit, so I guess he works with John Schwartzman a lot. Gone Baby Gone, that Casey and Ben Affleck movie. Argo, which he won an Oscar for editing. Followed up his Oscar with Zero Dark 30, which he also got an Oscar nomination for.
Jeez.
And followed those two an Oscar win and an Oscar nomination with Transformers Age of Extinction.
Can't win them all.
Sometimes you just need work.
Yeah, it's true. just like 300 cuts per minute, okay? Just that's the criteria for this, okay? But then he followed up. Then he followed up that wonderful film with The Imitation Game, which also got him an Oscar nomination. So 3 Oscar nominations out of 4 films, which is kind of crazy. Co-edited by David Rennie, who is responsible for 3 of my all-time favorite comfort films of all time. Office Space, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, Idiocracy, and he also did The New Guy. So, remember that guy who never gains weight or ages.
Yeah.
The New Guy. You know him. And, of course, music by our old pal, Trevor Rabin. In case you needed a reminder, we've talked about him 14 times, I feel like, already. But he kind of invented the Michael Bay style of scores. Was the guitarist of Yes, who wrote Owner of a Lonely Heart on a Toilet. And, of course, he came back and scored the Disney Plus series as well. So he's done all the music for all of the films and the TV series, and hopefully would come back if they do National Treasure 3, which who the fuck knows if that's actually going to happen. Yeah. It is Bruckheimer really wants to do it, but it just seems like it's having a hell of a time getting out of developmental hell.
I bet if that series did well, they would have greenlit it a lot faster.
I think so too. But at the same time, I think the major complaint with the series was that Cage wasn't in it, and I think people are wanting more National Treasure with Nicolas Cage.
You know how the bean counters are. They're like, I don't know. Is he good? Is he good for us?
I mean, he's on
like nobody watched these movies for Nicolas Cage.
yeah.
They wanted Riley Poole.
A big trajectory back up, but at the same time, like Renfield did not do well.
No.
It felt like it should have done well, but it had like a $65 million budget and I think made like 25.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
To be fair, a lot of films like that just aren't performing in the theater.
That's true. But
And
still, you spend
I'm
65
hoping-
million on something and it makes 25 million.
Yeah.
The people who are going to greenlight National Treasure are going to look at that and be like, ugh, I don't
But
think
I would
so.
hope they would look at the two previous National Treasure films and be like, well, these are just cash cows. And if you bring back the original cast and they'd be fine. But it's like kids movies, superhero movies, that's it, dude. Everything else is just not making money. I don't think John Wick did that well, and that's a huge franchise too, compared to what pre-pandemic numbers were.
I personally think that a National Treasure 3 right now would make 700-800 million.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it would, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought that the Unbearable Weight was going to make back its budget, but it didn't. I thought Renfield was going to at least make back its budget, and it didn't. So
I bet on the back end, the VOD stuff,
I'm sure
they'll make a ton of money. But I was actually, because I went and saw Renfield in theater, and the theater was actually pretty packed, and I'm in a fucking tiny ass area of Washington.
Yeah, well,
I was kind of surprised, but yeah, bigger theaters, bigger cities, probably not as many people going.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Trevor Rabin has weirdly kind of slowed down since 2011. He is getting older. He's only done a handful of things, like 3 movie scores and a couple TV shows, but he came sort of semi out of obscurity again and did the new National Treasure series. So obviously he likes doing these.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot remember a single piece of music from this movie.
You don't remember?
So cookie cutter. I remember like the theme of the first movie, and I don't know if that was in there. I'm sure it was. I don't know. I've already forgotten this whole movie.
Well, thankfully, we're about to break it down for you, Patrick.
Yep. Ratings, this got a 36%. 4.8 out of 10 on 130 reviews. Just for quick reference, the first movie only got a 46%. So, yeah. Audience score was a 67%, whereas the original has a 76. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just like one notch down. It's just so like the same movie again.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the major problem with this. Is like, could have like tried to make it about something besides exactly the same thing as the first movie.
At one point, I was like, wait, when did this go from clearing his name to finding a treasure?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, why? Why did it? What the fuck? It could have just been about clearing his name.
It could have been, or I don't know. They could have found a treasure that was smaller, not like.
Or made sense.
Not El Dorado.
Yeah.
I said in South Dakota for some reason.
Yeah. That's where Native Americans are known to have moved from.
Native Central Americans.
Native Central American, Olmec and Mesoamericans. They moved up to South Dakota. That's why nobody ever found it, because nobody would ever think to look in South Dakota. Except for the Wibberleys. They would think of it.
Yeah.
Metacritic score was a 48%, which is actually higher than the original, which was a 39. So it's just all sorts of confusing, man. I don't know. IMDb 6.5 out of 10, whereas the original has a 6.9 out of 10. So just slightly down. I feel like that's going to be our theme. Just slightly worse than the first one. Cinema score is exactly the same. Both movies had an A-.
Dang.
Yeah.
Not great.
They're stupid.